Hello listeners, Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello listeners, and welcome to the weekly Keep Canada Weird discussion series. If you're new here, my name is Jordan Bonaparte, and in Keep Canada Weird, my pal Aaron Airport and I seek out and explore some of the more offbeat news stories that played out across Canada over the past week. In tonight's episode, which we recorded on the 2nd of July 2024, Aaron and I laugh at the latest piece of political infighting to play out in Saskatchewan. We do a couple of hits on the Peloton inside the Mayor of Vancouver's gym. We review the sad story of Toronto's fired crosswalk guard, and we consider the artistic merit of the monument to roadkill that was installed on a walking trail in Ottawa. So let's get into this. Handsome Aaron Airport. First questions first. What are you drinking over there?
Oh, I got something different tonight.
I knew you'd shake it up.
Yeah, well, I won't shake this, but I am drinking what's called a gin smash.
Oh, so you're drinking liquor.
Yeah, I'm getting liquored up tonight, my friend.
This should be interesting. I don't know really what I'm drinking. This is tea, but there's a story behind this tea. Is right now in Halifax, we're under a boil order advisory, which is unusual in a city.
Oh, yeah, I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I will be honest, my tea smells a little weird. I boiled the water like 3 times before I brewed it and stuff, but it's I don't know, maybe it's all in my head. And the reason why I'm kind of weird about it is I read that the boil order advisory is because of some kind of power outage at like a sewage treatment plant, and some untreated like sewage water managed to get into our water supply. So they're getting everyone in the city to boil their water for at least 1 minute before ingesting it. I'm rolling the dice here. You may get drunk this episode, and I don't know what may happen to me.
And to add on top of that, my gin smash is cherry flavor.
Oh. How does that tie into this? Just cherry's a wild flavor?
Yeah, man. Remember the 80s when people used to put cherries in their mouths and tie the stem with their tongue into a knot?
Yeah, in the 80s, that was the sexiest thing a woman could do.
Yeah, every 12-month calendar had a picture of a woman with a cherry in her mouth tying the stem into her knot with her tongue.
Yeah. It's kind of a lost art, right? You don't hear like, and now's the era. Like, if people could go on TikTok and just do that and make millions, couldn't they?
I'm sure they could. Also in the 80s, a lot of car washes in your bikini. That was also on calendars a lot in the 80s.
Yeah. All things that have kind of died off, for better or worse. I don't know.
We're not here to say. It's not our area of expertise.
What is our area of expertise is keeping Canada weird by seeking out and highlighting the most fascinating stories that played out across Canada over the last week. And we got a good one this week. But before we get into the stories, let's hear from a listener. There's one voicemail I'm very excited to hear because it's a wonderful voice message and it's from a professor. So this person's not an idiot and they say nice things. We should play this one for our parents. Listen to this.
Hi, Jordan. This is Christine from Montreal. I've been listening to you guys for a few years and really enjoy your show. For the first time, I'll be in Halifax. I'm going to Nova Scotia. So I was wondering if you guys were going to some pub or something downtown Halifax. I'm a university professor in Montreal, and I'm going for the National Convention of the Canadian Society for Education Through Art. So yes, some scholars across the country are fans of Keep Canada Weird, Night Times, and all these incredible stories. And you made me, as a Quebecer, closer to English Canada, which is such an accomplishment. Culturally, my heart is now with you, guys. So thank you, and perhaps we'll meet. See you, perhaps, peut-être. À bientôt, bye.
I didn't get what she said at the very end. I think maybe she switched to French for the goodbye.
Yeah, it sounded incredibly French to me. So,
problem is, I didn't hear that voicemail until she was in Halifax over the weekend. I didn't hear it until preparing for the show today that we're recording on Tuesday. I would have taken them up on that offer. I often get messages from people that'll say something like that, like, I'm going to be in Halifax and, where's a good spot to go, or where do you hang out, or do you want to like come for drinks or something? I would always take people up on it, but I think this should be an opportunity for you and I to pitch some kind of like, maybe not pitch, but put feelers out for, is there demand for some kind of like meetup, social event? Because I'm up for it, and you're way more social than me. Like, is this something people may want to do?
We'll have to ask the people. I mean, I'm up for it,
Okay.
but I'm not them, so I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
We
Well,
know one person who is, and if we had have gotten to the voicemail on time, we maybe could have done something about it. Although I'm a few hours away from Halifax, but she sounds nice enough that I'd jump in the car and drive 4.5 hours and
to
meet
hit
up
a
for a
pub.
beer. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's out there. It's summertime. Now's the time of year where people often travel and do social things. Aaron and I will be together a lot. So if there is any demand for a social event in Canada, let me know. Maybe send voicemails pitching locations. Some obvious choices would be like Cape Breton in Halifax, because that's where we usually are. But
Well, this we will call it the Keep Canada Weird pub crawl, and we'll meet up at pubs around, say, the Maritimes.
okay, we can make that happen.
Yeah, we could definitely make it happen because we don't need to book any venues. We just show up at the pub at a certain time. We have a beer or a glass of wine or a gin smash and cherry flavor.
I also I don't drink, but I will still go. I'm the loser that I'll go to a pub at night and I'll get them to brew me a fresh cup of coffee.
You'd have a light beer though, wouldn't you?
No, if anything, like, it's weird. I don't drink, but if I was going to drink, it'd be like rum and water. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, let's get into it here. Well, this is not drinking time. We will save the partying for whichever Keep Canada Weird pub crawl manifests itself in front of us. Let's get to the stories. We could start this in a few ways. We have some political nonsense. We have a public interest story about about someone who lost a job that a community's rallying behind. And then we have a monument to roadkill. Actually, how do you think we should start this?
Well, we could start with our two political stories.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a great spot to start. Let's get the political nonsense out of the way.
Yeah.
Lately, you may have noticed we looked into a series of embarrassing political mishaps. We had the hunting rifle that was brought into the Saskatchewan legislature, and we had that awful map that was distributed by an MP in Ottawa. Tonight, we have two brand new political missteps that just took place over the past week. The first one is going to bring us back to Saskatchewan, a place that, given its population, they carry more than their weight on Keep Canada Weird. But here's the story. This is a story of political infighting in Saskatchewan. The NDP party recently criticized the state of the province in a pre-election campaign ad. And last week, the party in power, the Saskatchewan Party, released a sort of retaliatory ad criticizing the NDP for looking down at the province in their ad. However, the NDP party did some reverse image searches on elements that the Saskatchewan Party used in their ad. And as a result, the ad is now pulled, and checkmate NDP. Here it comes.
The commercial accused the NDP of being negative.
They called our economy a dumpster fire.
The commercial called the NDP wrong.
Place to live, and there's a lot to be proud of here.
The issue with the commercial is that the wheat field scene was shot in Russia.
This is a beautiful province. There's a lot of people trying to get work in the film and television industry right now. I know when we shoot ads, we shoot in Saskatchewan towns with Saskatchewan people. There's no excuse for this kind of politics or this kind of sloppy mistake.
The Saskatchewan Party used stock video from an agency that charges $79 for the rights. The ad has been pulled.
People will visit stock sites and pull footage, and we pulled that particular clip. We'll do a better job in the future making sure we vet our clips and the origin of those clips.
The NDP caught the gaffe by running the commercial through an online reverse image search. It's the type of scrutiny political parties can expect as a province moves toward a fall provincial election campaign.
So the Americans had the Trump-Biden debate last week. The Canadians have like the two parties in Saskatchewan vetting each other's ads and using it for ammo against each other. The idea of using stock footage to fill a couple seconds in an ad is nothing new. I think what this story highlights to me that I find most fascinating is just how vicious they are at each other. Like, one ad comes out making the Saskatchewan party look bad. The Saskatchewan party blasts NDP in their ad. And then the NDP, someone within that party who has a little bit of tech knowledge and tech know-how, figures out the source of the stock footage, and they manage to spin that into like, when we make our ads, we hire Saskatchewan filmmakers and actors. We have so much to provide. You don't have to use this Russian crap. I love this story for this reason.
The way their response though is kind of like, and you see this in politics all the time, where they just say the opposite of whatever you say.
Yeah, it's like the debate club in high school. Like there's a topic and one person has to fight for it and the other person has to argue against it. That's politics.
It is, yeah. Just whatever the other person says, I say the opposite, whether I believe it or not, or whether it's true or not. I'd like to see a bit of kind of a piece of data to show how much hometown produced content that the NDP use to back up their claims. They're saying that, oh, well, whenever we film commercials, we film right here in Saskatchewan and blah, blah, blah. But, where's the proof? I want to see exactly when you used homegrown footage and back up your claims with the numbers. And I find there's a bit of immaturity to the attitude around, the way like they find one little tiny nugget that they can chew on, and then they just go to town on it, and they have a feast. And it's like, you're wasting a lot of time doing this. Like, talk about actual things that matter and not, they use stock footage. And it turns out that stock footage is Russian. It's like, who cares?
If it wasn't Russian, though, maybe it would not have been as big of a deal. Like Russia as a Canadian and in the context of like politics, it sounds like a little dangerous and dirty. So I think like when the NDP party did that reverse image search and they're like, oh, stock footage, it was filmed in Russia. They're like, yes. Like, and it is just
and then they put
nonsense.
all their resources into it though. Like it'd be fine to say during a debate or kind of, off the cuff somewhere, at a political event, maybe, but like for them to actually put human resources into this issue and spend time researching it and spend time reaching out to the media and doing media about this, that's wasting taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, and it takes people's attention away from everything that's
absolutely. So I just find it like, at face value, it's like, that is ridiculous that they use stock footage and didn't film or use film footage that was filmed in Saskatchewan. But at the same time, like, it's nonsense on the other side too. And probably even more nonsense than just using some stock footage.
Yeah. It's ridiculous that they did it, and it's ridiculous that anybody cares.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous that they want to spend so much time on a non-issue.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We've spent enough time on this non-issue. Let's go
That's
to another.
our job. Yeah, we like to waste taxpayer dollars on non-issues.
Yeah,
that's what we do for a living.
The NDP should have called us and not like the mainstream media.
Just drop a little nugget to us, just a little whistleblower situation, like, "Hey, keep Canada weird. Cover this."
Let's move on to another bit of political misstepping. This one I also really like. It's been a big week for political embarrassing moments. This one, we're going to leave Saskatchewan, head over to British Columbia, the city of Vancouver, specifically into City Hall, where the mayor calls the shots. Now, Canada has a long-standing history of mayors doing dumb stuff. Well, last week, the latest chapter in that story was written. Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim is taking heat over some of the changes that he made in City Hall, specifically The 2 boardrooms he converted into a private workout space that people refer to as Ken's Mojo Dojo. Listen to this.
From vibes and swagger to gym gains.
I have favorite trainers.
Mayor Ken Sim turned a public boardroom at City Hall into his own gym, a move that's drawn criticism from some councillors.
Hey, physical fitness is a great thing. I could probably use some time in the gym myself, but the reality is this is taxpayer space. This is, city business space, not personal use space. And that's my issue.
Green councillor Pete Fry posted a photo of the gym to social media, calling it...
I rather cheekily called it Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Oh, this is no longer Barbie's dream house. This shall henceforth be known as Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House.
It drew instant reaction online, with one person suggesting one needs to warm up before a full day of swaggering.
It is absurd in a public building like this where our office space is constrained. This was a well-used shared boardroom.
Sim says the meeting room wasn't an ideal space because it isn't soundproof.
We actually hold very serious meetings here that are super confidential.
He says he paid for the gym equipment himself and that it's open to any councillor to use.
I don't have access to that hallway anymore.
Despite having a fitness facility at City Hall, Sim claims he uses this gym daily, although screen grabs from the Peloton app suggest otherwise.
You only use the Peloton 5 times here.
There's also like weights in there, there's rubber bands, there's a dip machine, there's a hanging bar. So, but some of those hits were 2-hour hits.
The mayor is adamant the gym wasn't done in secret and chalks the whole thing up to plain politics.
And they like to, make stories out of things that are small, and we're focused on building a great city.
Voters will have to decide if they're into that kind of Kenergy.
Is this not just like the same story, just a different flavor of it? Instead of stock footage from Russia, it's the mayor made a gym and the people who aren't mayor are pissed. And
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
My favorite part, though, is that they kind of catch him in this lie where somehow the opposition got access to his Peloton stats to show that he doesn't even really use that bike. And his rebuttal was, he called them hits.
You only use the Peloton 5 times here.
Some of those hits were 2-hour hits.
I think it's a great idea. I love the fact that he turned a room that wasn't working for him, didn't have the soundproofing that he'd like, to turn it into a gym. I think all offices should have gyms. I think it's a great way, especially like if you're the mayor and you're working long hours and you want to work those long hours, but you also want to keep yourself in shape and you want to be still maintaining your lifestyle and keeping yourself happy. And for people who exercise every day, like it's something that's very important to them to keep doing. So when you work at the mayor's office, he's able to pop into that little, homemade gym that he has there and lift some weights for a bit or do some chin-ups or.
So you support this?
I do 100% support it. I think it's great.
Okay. I will tell you, if I was mayor, I would do something way worse.
You'd have a G.I. Joe room.
Yeah, G.I. Joe room and like a VR room and an Xbox room. And I don't even want to get into the other rooms. If you are the mayor and the worst thing they can criticize you for is setting up a gym in a boardroom in City Hall, I don't know. I just think I call him Mayor Farley, Mayor Ford of Toronto. When he was mayor, he had this big controversy about like crack and all this other nonsense. He was filmed doing crack and drunk in the middle of the night at like a burger joint, just talking nonsense. I think this guy, the mayor of Vancouver, if this is the worst thing they can hold against him, yeah, he's doing all right. Just like if the worst thing the Saskatchewan party did is buy stock footage for an ad like everybody does. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
if that's what your critics throw at you, they don't got much to say.
Absolutely. It's them spending time on nonsense and childish matters. Oh, he set up a gym and then this room that we used to do meetings in. It's like, no one cares, man. And anyone can use the gym. And the guy claims that he can't because he's not allowed in that section of the office anymore or something.
There's probably a good reason why he's not allowed down there.
Yeah, because he's probably a party pooper. He's
buzzkill, right?
Political buzzkill, He comes in the room and everyone just hates him.
This story also reminds me a little bit of we talked not too long ago about the police station in Toronto.
I was just thinking of that. Yeah, where they had the bar.
They had a licensed bar for like 30 years or something, and that wasn't a big deal until CBC found out about it. This mayor has an exercise bike and some weights in a boardroom, and it's national news. Come on.
Yeah, no, I think
got
it's good.
bigger problems.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting there, you're doing mayoral activities at your desk, and you're putting in extra hours. You're like, I'm gonna go do some chin-ups until I vomit, and then come back in and finish my work.
Let's end this section by catching up with one of the stories we talked about last week. I mentioned it already. The MP who distributed the map that was missing Prince Edward Island and had the territories merged together. A listener named Greg lives on Prince Edward Island, the omitted island. Here's Greg's reaction to that story.
Hi, Jordan and handsome Aaron Airport. This is Greg from PEI. I've called into the show a few times. Once around Christmas time there, when a rat chewed through my dishwasher line, and about cheddar cheese muffins at Tim Hortons. And this time I'd like to respond about the latest episode where an MP had sent out a map omitting PEI and forgetting the Yukon as well. And quite frankly, when I heard this news, when I heard it first on Nighttime Podcast breaking this story, I was completely and utterly indifferent, because forgetting PEI on maps is a time-honored tradition. In fact, if I remember correctly, either in 2017 or 18, there was actually an art exhibit here on PEI put on by one of our local university professors about different maps that had omitted PEI, and this is just part of how it is. And it's unfortunate because I believe we produce about 95% of the world's potatoes. I'm not sure about that stat, but that sounds right. And also we produce 100% of the shows about redheaded orphans. So we do contribute a lot to the culture in those two regards. But I really feel bad for the people of the Yukon. This is probably one of their first omissions, and it's tough the first few times, guys and gals up there, but you'll get through it. You'll tough it out. But it's kind of advantageous, at least for us people on PEI, because if there's ever doomsday scenario or something's going down that we need to draw up the bridge and close down the ferries, well, we'll just start handing out those maps, and no one will ever know we were here. Anyway, no big surprise here, guys. PEI not in the map. Not a surprise. Anyway, thanks. Love the show. Cheers.
An art exhibit of maps that neglected to include PEI. I think that's an amazing idea.
Yeah, and hopefully this one is going to be hung very prominently in that exhibit the next time they have it. He made some bold claims there, though, in that voicemail.
95% of the world's potatoes from PEI?
Also, 100% of the redheaded orphan market.
So name another other than, what the hell is it called? A Little House on the Prairie.
What? You're talking about Anne of Green Gables.
Anne of Green Gables, yeah. What other?
Little Orphan Annie.
Oh, redheaded. Yeah, come on, Greg. Fact check this, bud.
Yeah. That really stopped me in my tracks. It's a hard knock life, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Greg, thank you for that voicemail. Let's get into a story that is a little darker than political missteps. Although we are still going to keep one foot in kind of like legal regulation, maybe malfeasance. Let's talk about a fired crosswalk guard that is gaining a lot of attention in Toronto. You ready for this?
I am ready.
A 56-year-old crossing guard in Toronto named Lisa was recently fired. And the reason for the firing is allegations that she was feeding birds and squirrels near the elementary school that she was keeping safe. But now, some members of the community are rallying behind Lisa and demanding she get her job back. Listen to this.
I'm heartbroken. I love my community. I love my job.
That job now gone. Lisa Dunn says working as a crossing guard for 3 years in East York has meant forming priceless connections.
This is a picture for my birthday from one of the little kindergarten boys, Jack.
Jack, like hundreds of other children and adults, cross Lisa's corner at Main Street and Doncaster Avenue every weekday. But in May, a complaint was made about Dunn feeding birds something she was warned about before.
Oh, I got a call from my boss. They phoned and were asking me questions if I fed the wildlife, and that's all they needed to say I got terminated.
It's nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense.
Christopher Sariska, whose daughter goes to Seacourt Elementary School, started an online petition to reinstate Dunn. By Thursday afternoon, more than 400 signatures.
Even if you've had a rough day in the morning with your kid and stuff like that, you walk by Lisa's corner and your kid's smiling before she gets to the school that's half a block away.
Feeding wildlife is illegal in Toronto. Dunn's employer declined an interview with Global News. In an email, a spokesperson with Synergy Protection Group Inc. said they cannot discuss specific employee matters, but that termination of employment is, quote, a last resort when an employee has been given opportunities to improve.
Lisa would take a bullet for these kids. She went above and beyond.
As more community members like Jim Clayton voice their support for Dunn, a single mom of a 20-year-old is trying to financially stay afloat.
I'm a lady that used to be on welfare. My rent's coming up, which means I'm probably going to have to go back, excuse me, on the system, which I didn't want.
Her mementos from children, a reminder of the legacy she leaves behind, and the importance of an essential service.
It really was out of the passion of my heart.
Noor Rafat, Global News.
I feel horrible for Lisa Dunn. And all this over, at least according to this story, is it's all about her feeding like squirrels or birds or something. This poor lady. And if the stories about her are true, that the parents and members of the community are telling, the children love her, and she seems to be one of those people that take her job very seriously and, connects with the people on a level that sometimes I find annoying when people kind of get personal and make small talk with me, but I get some people like it. I feel bad for her. What are your thoughts on this?
I see a lot of crossing guards that seem to have that relationship with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
The school around the corner from me, when I'm driving to work, I see the crossing guard, fist bumping every kid as they go through the crosswalk and having that connection with them. And
the school near my house, the crosswalk guard brings every day, she has this little purse thing that she is full of stickers, and she gives every kid a sticker as they're leaving school. And the elementary school kids, especially the younger ones, that's a huge deal for them to get something like a sticker.
Mm-hmm.
And they love her for these little stickers she gets from the dollar store. And a shout out to people who went to Sydney Academy my high school back in the 90s. We had a crosswalk guard who he did two things. For one, he'd hold the stop sign thing that, it's on a handle. It's like a stop sign they hold. I don't know what that thing is called. He would hold it up as high as he think you could jump and hit it. And he would get the kids to jump as high as they could to smack the stop sign he was holding. But he also would yodel, and he could yodel like a madman.
Wow.
And he would yodel for us, and we'd hit his stop sign. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. So
crosswalk guards are special.
Yeah, I agree. And this woman, I'll say off the top, seems very sweet. Seems like has a great rapport and relationship with the children, and it's a sad story to listen to. I feel like we don't have all the pieces. How do you feel?
I feel like there must be more to it. Feeding wildlife, there's probably there is apparently some bylaw in Toronto against it, but I can't imagine they would terminate someone's employment for that reason. This to me reeks of they were looking for a reason because of other things that have happened, and maybe this is the straw that broke the camel's back. I can understand that the employer doesn't pass the personnel file along to the news to show them exactly what's going on, but there has to be more to it.
Yeah, it sounds like there was in the way the response from the school board was used. Is it the school board or who hires the crossing guard?
It can't be the school board. It must be the city, because they're manning city sidewalks.
Yeah. It sounded like they went through correctional opportunities with her. The way that they worded their statement, we always give them the opportunity, and when giving feedback and things like that.
Termination's a last resort.
Yeah. So it sounded like they had gone through a series of corrective actions with her. And then this was finally like, okay, unfortunately, we have to let you go. Whether it was all over her feeding the wild animals, the birds, we don't know. That could just be the straw that broke the camel's back. But it sounds like there's more going on here than we have access to, is unfortunately what's.
Yeah, but what I am sure of is she sounds like she's between a rock and a hard place right now,
Yeah.
and certainly sounds like the community misses her and that she misses that job. And that I feel bad for. There's another part of the story, though, that I want to kind of lean into here is, I don't know if this is common, but as far as I know, in Halifax, you can feed birds and squirrels and wildlife, and it's not a big deal. I've learned through this story that in Ontario, it's illegal to feed the wildlife. People can lose their jobs over it, apparently. Last week, we talked about, and I think the week before that, we talked about how Ontario also has banned pit bulls. Remember how that played into a story, I think a week or two ago, about a dog attack?
Yep, I remember that.
So Ontario seems to be, and Toronto seem to be very hard on animals. I want to catch back up with the pit bull ban because we got some voicemails related to the pit bull ban. Now, when we talked about that, we knew that people were passionate about dogs and different dog breeds and all that. I was expecting a couple voicemails about it, but they're interesting. Let's start with a listener named E, who wants to talk a little bit about Ontario's pit bull and pit bull-like dog ban.
Hi, Jordan. I just finished listening to your recent episode, and I'm calling in regarding the recent pit bull attack in Ontario. Yes, we do unfortunately have a ban on pit bulls and pit bull type dogs in Ontario. It's called BSL, which stands for Breed Specific Legislation. I personally do not agree with it. I'm a big dog lover, and I always believe that your dog's behavior is on you, the owner. And it has been proven not to have had any effect on dog bites. Also, this ban is not just specific to pit bull breeds. It is for any dogs that look too much like a pit bull breed. So who are they to decide if your dog looks too big or too mean or whatever you want to call it? And anyways, in my experience, I've had way more experience with small dogs that are more likely to attack and be violent. These dogs are usually considered teacup or handbag dogs, and these attacks go underreported because they're small and whatever, they're cute. Oh, sorry. I'm a big dog lover. So also big shout out to Bullies in Need Dog Rescue. They are an incredible dog rescue here in Ontario, and they help rehome dogs that fall under BSL outside of Ontario. And they do an amazing job. So big shout out to them, Bullies in Need Dog Rescue.
Yeah, that's a part of the story. Like when we talked about this, is some of the dogs that are found in Ontario that shouldn't be there because of this legislation or bylaw or whatever. Someone has to get them out of the province to be adopted again. And yeah, shout out to all the people doing that work. And I agree with one thing E said is it's the little yappy dogs. They're always like attack you and bite you, but you don't even really notice because they're so small. But if those things were as big as a pit bull, we'd all be done. You know, those little those awful things. The demon dogs, I call
in the
them.
animal uprising, they're the things that are going to get shot out of the guns. So they shoot the animals will be shooting the little dogs out of the basically like t-shirt guns for animals. And so as you're approaching the front lines, you're just seeing these little chihuahuas and whatever else,
just the
tiny dogs,
just the fuzzy white things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like a fuzz ball with like two eyes and a bunch of teeth and a loud. Yeah, they'd be vicious, like thousands of them just swarming the humans.
You have to be
loosening us
careful
all
though,
up.
because they can still crush your genitals.
If they got a hold of them.
Yeah, they can still do significant damage to your
Mm.
genitals, I think.
I would say when the animal uprising begins, we should all wear tapered jeans, no shorts, no jogging pants, tapered jeans and hockey cups.
Yeah, well, I've already submitted to the animals early on. They know
So you
where I
think
stand, and
your genitals are safe?
I hope so. I don't have a guarantee, nothing in writing. But I really hope that they spare my genitals in the uprising. And I agree with the caller, no bad dogs, just bad dog owners.
Mhm.
And save all the dogs. That's what I say. And save all the podcasters' genitals.
Last week you made it clear that you did not like and you did not want to hear any more stories about dead or injured animals, right? That was an issue?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to tiptoe into this next story because it kind of brushes up against some of the things I told you we would never do again, but I think we're safe. We're going to be talking about a roadside monument, which is something we often celebrate on this show. But we missed one in Ottawa. The curtain that covered this roadside monument was lifted last June, and I don't know how we missed this. But if you're a regular user of the LeBreton Flats pathway in Ottawa, you probably didn't miss it. You may have noticed your walks got a little more interesting thanks to PEI artist Gerard Belleau. The group that manages the trail system paid that artist $15,000 to provide a home for 1 year for his 5-meter-long exhibit that he titles Where the Rubber Meets the Road. The art piece, made entirely out of recycled tires, evokes the image of a dead crow. This is a monument to roadkill.
People are flocking to see it. 5 meters long, scavenged from recycled tires. The depiction of a dead crow, called When the Rubber Meets the Road.
I saw some of the comments were like, oh, this is so ugly. So I thought I have to see it for myself.
That's an amazing piece of artwork there. It really does get the impression across of a crow.
Whether or not people appreciate what it is, it's getting people talking.
That talk on social media, calling it morbid or construction material dumped in a heap. Others critical the federal government paid $14,000 for it. But the artist says his feathers aren't ruffled.
I would say the worst outcome for a work of art is that it doesn't get noticed or doesn't get any reaction. And the fact that it does get a reaction, that it does get people talking, discussing why it's there, what it is exactly what is probably the best outcome in the long run.
He says the crow symbolizes the collision between humans and nature, made of the very material that causes roadkill. A commentary on commuter culture's impact on the environment.
The piece is about the kind of risk and reward in our collision with the natural world as we deal with an environmental crisis moving forward.
The Crow premiered 5 years ago on PEI, but the artist says he's never had such a strong reaction.
It's been mostly in small cities and some rural locations that a larger audience probably just has a larger spectrum of reactions.
This crow will be on display for the next year. After that, the artist says he hopes that another public space will take it on in a new city to keep more Canadians talking.
So that clip we just heard, that was from June of last year. And at the time of that clip airing, the plan was they paid like that $14,000 to $15,000 licensing fee to have that dead crow made out of tires put on the walkway for 1 year. The reason I'm talking about it now is it was just announced that they have renewed it and they are going to have it for another year. It's now going to be on the side of the path, the large dead crow made out of tires, until June of 2025. And the conversation that we heard in that last clip continues. Is it art? Is it morbid? Is it stupid? Is it ugly? Is there any reason to have it on the side of a walkway? I'll give my thoughts right off the bat. Like, I think it looks cool. Stuff made out of rubber tires. I don't know. That's kind of neat. I've seen a gorilla made out of that one time and it was cool. But like kind of the artistic side of it, like it represents this and that. I don't know. To me, it just looks like a big, weird dead crow made out of tires. And I think that's a little cool. I don't know if I want to see it when I'm walking down a trail, though.
Yeah, it does. It's cool looking, and I think it would be even cooler if it wasn't dead, you know? It would be
Yeah,
cool if it was like up on top of something with its wings spread wide and looking like a badass crow.
yeah.
And I
And it
get the
didn't represent
point.
anything.
Yeah, I get the
It
point
was
that
just a
he's trying
crow.
to make, with the environment and with pollution and all of those things that, but at the same time, like that's been said in art a million times. That's kind of
Mm,
something that's been said before, right? So
mhm.
what's the difference in this one, in the point that you're trying to make, that hasn't been said already? It hasn't been
Yeah,
done.
what does it bring to that conversation?
Yeah, what new to the table of that conversation is this piece bringing? And I don't really see anything new to the conversation that this piece brings. It is cool looking, and I think it would have been even cooler if it was alive and it looked
Hmm.
like it was flying. Maybe it was perched on top of something. There's a lot of cool ways, because the way a crow looks made out of tires is pretty badass, right?
Pretty sweet, yeah. And also, I think since if you think of what the artist is claiming that this is to represent the clash of humans in the natural world, I think choosing the crow as a dead crow as a symbol of that is wrong, because a crow seems to be one of the animals that can thrive in our world. Like crows aren't like when humanity is taking over and building our cities, the crows don't have to leave. They seem to do just fine here. Also, crows aren't like typical roadkill. Like you
No,
don't see
that's what I was thinking too.
crow.
Like I never see crows on the side of the road hit by cars. I
No, they die
see
of natural causes, old age,
raccoons
and
and deer and maybe a pet of some kind, a dog or a cat. A
foxes
fox. I
and
saw a
beavers.
fox obliterated today. It was
Oh, that's so
disgusting.
sad because
Yeah.
they're the sweetest things. But yeah, I think if he wanted to make that statement and he made like an obliterated fox out of like tires and red paint, I guess that would be more of a statement, maybe, or a dead deer out of it. That'd be more shocking. I think a better statement, like just like you said, I agree with you. A live crow just sitting there watching the people walk on the pathway, and it could be a monument to the crow's ability to thrive in our civilization and the
Hmm.
natural world.
And crows are highly intelligent creatures. Yeah.
Hell yeah. The crows could probably build a crow out of tires.
Yeah. Well, the crows are going to build after the animals take over in the animal uprising, the crows are going to make a human being dead on the side of the road out of rubber tires, because there'd be no need
Mhm.
for rubber tires anymore. After
Yeah.
the animals take over, they're not going to be using our cars and everything. So they're going to have a lot of excess garbage to get rid of. And one way with them to take the tires and make human art installations around.
I think we've talked several times about the origins of the animal uprising, when it started, when it will happen, who is behind it. It wouldn't be surprising at all if the crows were the ones behind this whole thing, and they are just sitting up on the power lines, looking down, laughing as they pull the strings on all the stupid other animals that they're encouraging by some kind of intelligent means to do all this.
Crows, they're the smartest animals, man. I agree. And I respect the crow, and I submit to the animal overlords where the brains may lie in the skull of a crow. And I submit, I bow down, I pledge my allegiance to the crow. Just please spare my genitals.
Uh, I think we've been through a lot here. We covered it all. We had political nonsense. We had social justice, which is something we're warriors for. And we got into animals and roadside monuments. We had the listeners chime in. We put out an offer that maybe we would go to a pub somewhere. Is there anything left to do tonight?
The only thing left to do is to say goodbye.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, bus stop Bonaparte. Until next time.
You got plans this weekend?
Nope.
Maybe we'll have a friggin' pub crawl somewhere.
Yes, the Keep Canada Weird pub crawl. Contact us. Let us know what pub in your town you want us to visit, and we will visit. And Jordan will drink gross tea. And
Without
I'll be
sewage, preferably.
Without sewage back up in it. And I'll be getting completely wrecked on cherry gin smashes.
But you didn't phrase that with Jordan until next time.
I'm too wrecked on cherry gin smashes to phrase anything the way it's supposed to be.
You got a pass tonight. I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird, but let us also call out to you for even greater support in this work. If something weird happens in your neck of the woods, we want to hear about it. If you have any thoughts, opinions, theories, or feedback on anything we discussed tonight, we want to hear about that as well. The best way to reach us is by sending a voice message using the voice recorder that's found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And to sweeten the deal a little bit for you, if your voice is aired on this show, you qualify for a Keep Canada Weird swag pack. So once you hear your voice message played, all you got to do is email me at nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, give me your mailing address, and I'll have something out to you right away. Aaron and I are excited to hear from you. Now before we part, let me end with some thanks. First, a big thanks to Aaron for sharing another evening with me and with you, the listeners of Nighttime. A big shout out to the internet's favorite cult leader, Unicole, who provides the intro and outro voiceovers for this show, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. Now on the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers to the premium feed. Brandy, Paul, and Rochelle, thank you for going premium. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can do it in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple dollars a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes 2 days early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of episodes. That sounds like something you'd like? You can go premium right now at patreon.com/nighttimepodcast. And if you can't go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media and letting all your like-minded friends know why they should listen. Your support in this is very much appreciated. Now until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let us know if you see anything weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
We always end, though, with what's our favorite story of the night. I think... I know it's the one we talked about at the end of the episode, but I'm going to go with Ottawa's Monument to Roadkill, because it touches on the animal uprising. It includes maybe bad art, a roadside monument, which we love, and it just is a story that people are reacting to. That's the story that I'm going to go with my favorite story of the night. How about you?
My favorite story is the Vancouver mayor who sets up the gym in the mayor's office. I like that one because I can't tell if he's a bit of a knob or not, but everybody looks dumb in that story. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, he does seem like a little bit of a knob.
He seems like one of those exercise enthusiasts that just drives you crazy because you can't even have a conversation with them about anything normal without them reverting everything back to how many reps they did or what their macros are. And
some of those hits were 2 hours on the Peloton.
Anyway, I'm going to go gorge on chicken and rice and not talk to my wife.